coming back to the topic, I think it's very interesting. All of us do a very good job, or we have figured it out hiring people. But somehow within the system, rewarding is still a problem. We put them in a system which is fairly linear. We set some priorities, so we define it. Sometimes in some cases we don't know what to set the priorities, and defenders OKRs versus the person who is actually saving the goals, the OKRs may be same, correct? And at the end of the year we reward person differently, correct? Because this whole reward mechanism, and I think the HR policies and all the which govern, correct, don't show that much of agility, correct? And when it comes to startups and small companies, there is, but when it comes to larger ones, it is getting governed by HR policies rather than what we need on the ground. And that's the challenge. I think this whole rewarding mechanism.
I've had the liberty of pushing my HR teams always to change the KPI. That's why I was discussing with Anuradha earlier. So this KPI, I'll give you an example of KPI change actually. So in one of the companies I was working, people used to measure X percentage of project can only be in escalation, right? So let's say they said only 15% of the projects can be in escalation. Great idea. Outcome was people stopped putting project in escalation. Correct. So you had watermelon projects, green, 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 red, right? Because that's a KPI. Why change the KPI? The KPI is, it doesn't matter how many projects are in escalation. I want zero surprise. If a single project goes from you telling proactive mark high risk to a escalation, that's -1. And I said your KPI is highlighting the risk. I don't care how many projects are in risk. I don't care about it. Moment I shifted the KPI, the behavior changed. People became proactive.
Just a interesting topic, and I'm using my previous experiences. Okay, zero surprises is a very good KPI to have it. I'm not at all doubting that one. Just because it is zero surprise, and you're saying as a project manager, I'm highlighting to you that, by the way, my project is going to be in a risk, right? The other effect that started coming in, I highlighted the risk. My job is done. Okay, now someone else will come and fix it. Okay, on a lighter side, I'm saying that is yes, right? Like is a behavioral kind of thing, right? So I had done my predictable activity. I had done is that I have highlighted my risk to you as a supervisor, as a manager, but I have stopped taking the create a risk part of it. Okay, I know it is going to be in red. What I am going to do to make it come out of a red to or a stay
Next
green.
question, Srikant, you have to have, no? That if you're highlighted, your job is not done, right? So
I know exactly.
Yeah, especially with the new generation, right? I see, like, I work with a lot of Gen Z and freshers, right? And whenever new assignment or something is given, they will come and that this is the mistake what we have done. So rightly pointed out, we have to tell them, we have to mentor them, tell them, okay, okay, it's job not done. We otherwise it's always going to be, then we end up suffering. So it becomes very critical that they take risk, but we should not, we can't celebrate the failures for sure, but obviously we can always encourage them to take more risk and in a way reward the failures as well, I would say.
One question to you actually, because you said from a startup perspective, right? And you're in very unique skills that you may end up hiring, because the kind of business that you're running needs different skills. So how you kind of actually reward this? Because I think what we are all discussing is possibly you're doing it on the ground. So you want to share anything? Because I see a very uniqueness in.
Yeah, so I mean, there are various mechanisms, at least in the early stages. There's ESOPs, there's revenue shares, there's profit shares, there's in performance linked incentives. It's much easier to manage in a sub 50 people organization,
Simple organization,
right? So we typically use those, but again, it's as much as you try, the Pareto rule always applies, 80-20. There's 1 in 5 who's really going to make a big difference. It's how do you identify that person well and incentivize them disproportionately. I think that's the knack, that's the skill.
So just to add, right? So I also had my own share of startup experience. So what we did, like, to add some intangible rewards or benefits, making them part of the decision making.
Yeah.
Being a small organization, we were able to do that. And when they feel, okay, they are owners and part of the organization, they contribute much more than a typical employee.
And I can tell, I,
Even in a large company, right? We have 25,000 odd people today. We are setting the tone for what to do next year. We got 65 plus leaders, and we said in these 4 topics, you decide what we need to change because the market is changing. And those people are going to drive the change for the whole company. So you can do that even in larger organization. I don't think it's a startup. I think it's a mental model of how do you sell your decision making to the people who are actually going to do it.
just,
Yeah,
yeah,
startups actually drive it very well.
drive it
Larger
very well.
companies have forgotten to do.
So I've been for many 32 years, I've been in a enterprise or a traditional companies. Last 3 months, I'm in a startup world. Okay. So I can sense that one, there is a flexibility or a nimbleness which is there to come out with a different incentive models or approaches is much higher compared to the large companies because of the set processes and everything is there. One thing which I would like to share from my personal experience, question that you ask, how do you achieve, right now we are saying is a high potential or predictability, but is it possible to have both together? And that depends upon the leaders that you are working with. I'll share my experience way back 20 years back. The manager or just my leader who was which I was working with, he ensured that because predictability was required there also because he was running a large business, but at the same time we were wanted to grow into some new business, so some out of the box thinking was required. So these guys said, okay, you go ahead, do it. I will give you headroom to operate. Okay, if anything screw up happens, I will be behind you, protecting you, taking all the hit. And many people say that I will take the hit, but this guy actually did show that one. So that kind of gave confidence that we can operate, we can take risk, maybe not a huge risk which will have millions and millions of losses, but some risk which is predictable, kind of more measured risk, because someone is going to take care of my back and I'm not going to get uh, put under the bus because something went wrong. And that kind of leadership trait or the leaders can drive that actual optimal balance between predictability and the high potential risk taking or thinking on the feet.
You have made me feel quite nostalgic about a memory, right? So I've been working with startups for a very long time, and a good manager can change a lot of things, right? So there was this festive campaign that was supposed to be limited period. I thought we had gone on time, switched off the campaign. We hadn't. And one night when I saw the numbers, I just couldn't sleep that night that we have burnt 5 crore rupees as a loss. I just couldn't sleep that night. I didn't know what was going to happen. I thought, okay, maybe I'm going to lose my job. What is going to happen to me? And the next day morning, very nervously, I went and spoke to my boss, who was also the CFO at the time, and the co-founder. He just put his hand around me and he told me that, Joseph, I've lost a lot more money than this. Don't worry about it. What is your learning from this? Right? And then I told him a few things, and he just changed my whole very scary night that I've had. And thereafter, I've been a lot more cautious, but still, I've gone ahead and started taking those risks and working on some of these projects that made a huge difference. So, as you rightly said, a very good boss and a buffer or a safety layer provides a very huge headroom for growth.
Yeah.
Same thing which happened with us in 2007-8, right? There used to be called VIP number. And that used to be premium number. You had to pay a lot more money to get that VIP number. Okay, 2008, 7, 8, when there were multiple players and all that. So for one of our implementation, we kept the VIP number as the same as any other number. We realized that mistake after 1 week because a lot of team members and everyone started getting those VIP numbers because it lost a lot of money. But when we realized that one, instead of putting someone under the bus in that you guys did something stupid, the guy said, okay, same thing. It happens. Go fix it. Make sure that now you're putting a guardrails before something like this goes out to production. Someone is reviewing and doing it. Right.
Yeah. Safety net is one thing, but also vision and sort of, almost sort of warlike mission is another, and which is easier in startups. Everyone enjoys underdogs trying to change and disrupt. David Goliath, everyone loves that story. So helping people see that, what a, and especially today's Gen Z, workforce is very, very driven by purpose. They want to know what our values are. They want to know what the brand stands for, what the founding values are, etc., etc. So being able to articulate all of that really well is extremely important. And one thing that I implement very actively across leaders in our organization is you can't operate like a manager, you have to operate like a mentor. Always be in mentor mode. Your employees are mentees and you're trying to enable them like you are an external mentor. And that really, I think, changes the mindset quite a bit.
So coming back to the rewards, uh, see, we don't reward for potential. Should not reward for potential. We should reward for the contribution. And that's the typical, what I see is the mistake people end up doing. And this is Gen Zs when you talk about. What I see is their expectations, uh, and they think they know a lot of things. Right? They think they have a lot of potential. Possibly they are. And they expect you to pay for their potential, not the contribution. So I think it's very important for us as an hiring managers to set that context why they're getting hired for. What may they end up getting through multiple roles, because it may not be the same role they will continue. Correct? Because I have multiple cases that you hired me for that role. Now, where is the similar work? No, that role is over. Now you may need to get to something else. Learn, unlearn topic that you mentioned. It's extremely important that what you're setting up as a context as a hiring manager, what they will do throughout their career, not a job, career in your firm. And again, it's extremely important for this whole Gen Z, because we're talking about that, is to discuss about how we are shaping up their careers. What opportunities that we will give them in the career, not a job, because job everybody will do. So that is, I think, something I want to put on the table, that expectations setting at a hiring level, and reward doesn't mean only money, correct? And expectations are also different. Are we getting enough learning opportunities, certifications? Do we have office parties? Do we have X, Y, Z? What I'm saying is, what is reward? Do I have an insurance that the firm is providing? So defining the rewards is also extremely important at a time of hiring, so that you don't end up having a mismatch, and then both hiring party and the person who is joining at a loss.
So till now, we have got a lot of interesting points and insights, like agility is something which has become very critical. We need also individuals to focus on both. No, coming up with something which is disruptive, but also have some kind of predictability so that we can have some kind of incentive structure aligned to that also.